So we are towards the bottom of page Chov Beis, 5 lines from the bottom. The line starts with the word Yoitzer Oyer Oyer Cheshech. So we want to offer a little bit. Essentially, we're focusing on what it says that Brias Odom. It says Odom is B'Tzalmeinu Kidmuseinu. Tzelem Udmus. What is Tzelem Udmus? So we start explaining that first of all, the principle of Tzura. Tzelem Udmus are both referring to the Tzura, to the form. But there's a difference as to what aspect of the form and how close to reality it is. We said Tzelem is the Tzura Atzmis. What is Tzura Atzmis? So in order to get into Tzura Atzmis, we went into explaining that Tzura is formed in a Chomer. And Chomer has no Tzura. But Chomer, nevertheless, it doesn't have a Tzura, but it has every type of Tzura that there possibly can be. Chomer is what provides for the Tzura, which is called Chomer Poshut. So that every Tzura has an origin in the Pshitus, which is contained in the Chomer. Which we discussed yesterday. Okay, so now we're starting inside. 5 lines from the bottom. Nimtza. Thus, it comes out from that discussion. The Chomer hu ho'etzem ha'poshut. That Chomer refers to this is the etzem ha'poshut. Chomer, as we said, is noisei. It bears all the various tzuras in itself. This is the etzem ha'poshut, shuhu ne'elam, which is ne'elam, which is not identifiable, not observable. V'tzura hu ha'gilui, and tzura, this is the gilui from the chomer. Omnom. However, there's another point in this. When we say in the Tzura Hu Hagilui, would seem to be implying that this is something which is, so to speak, added on to the Chomer. You use the Chomer to produce a Tzura. Odom, however, Inyan Tzura Atzmis, the principle of the Tzura Atzmis, who Shahizgalos hu be'etzem hadover, It is when the hisgalus is within the essence of the thing. Ve'einoi davar noisef al ho'etzem, where it is not anything added onto the etzem. Thus, Tzuro Atzmi, this is a little bit in a contradiction, it would appear, to what we say that Choymer is Poshut. And yet, we're saying, no, there is, despite the fact that Choymer is Poshut, there is such thing as a Tzuro Atzmis. That you can bring out his galus from the Etzem Hadover. Okay, this is going to be discussed. As for example, letters that are engraved al hachoisem on the stamp. So there the oisiyos are in the very body of the choisem of the stamp. They're not something added onto the stamp, to the body of the stamp, to the choimer. The im heyoisiyos is hengili hadovor v'lo yetzem mehusei mamosh. That although the oisiyos are an expression of this thing, of a choisem. It is not the mahus of the choisem mamosh in a full sense. Mamosh means the very same thing, the very thing.
Describe it?
Yeah, I'll try. This would seem a little bit odd. You say that the oisiyos are not the etzem mahus of the choisem. What then is a choisem? What is a choisem? A choisem is a stamp. What is the mahus of the stamp? The mahus of the stamp is the oisiyos that it stamps. So we are saying that there are two things, two parts in this. There is the choimer, which is the etzem hamahus, and then there is the oisiyos. The oisiyos are the means by which the choimer becomes useful. So that what is the function of this mahus, that comes out through the oisiyos. But the mahus itself, as we discussed yesterday, that which enables it, that is the choimer of the choisem itself. That is the mahus. That is that which enables the whole thing to be. The oisiyos is one way of using it. So here the oisiyos are in a category below the etzem hamahus, but they are oisiyos is from the choisem itself. Now, as we discussed yesterday, that the mahus is noisei. All the giluyim that can come from the mahus are contained in this mahus. The mahus itself, the reason that it is noisei and it contains all of them, is not that it contains all the various forms and all the various suras, but that it is at a level beyond the surah. That's called the pshitus. It is at the level of the essential element of what this reality is. And therefore it can, from this can come the giluyim of you can use it to be megala various things. So here we're saying that the gilui, so there are two types of gilui. There's a gilui which is an add-on to the chomer, and then there's a gilui that comes from the chomer itself, from the pshitis itself. This is the oises hachakukim al hachoisem. Oises hachakukim al hachoisem. There is nothing that is added onto the choisem. We spoke about it, about the ruchnius of the koyach ha're'iyah, of sight. That sight, with sight you see an element that you can touch, that is beyond. Sight exposes you to an element that is based on truth rather than on form, on untouchable and untangible. And here's another example of this union, that when you touch the chosim, you are touching the same chosim. Where does it become a tzura? Where does it become that you see that there is something there? This is through sight. In other words, there's a kind of a ruchnisike inyan that was revealed from the chosim. There's nothing added onto the chosim. So, stamp.
And choisef is choisef. Choisef or choisem?
Choisem.
But you can't touch the choisem and feel the engravement on the stamp.
Yeah, but when you're touching the choisem itself.
Yeah, but the choisem changed because it has chakikas. You could feel the like the hole which is in it.
And what are you feeling? You are feeling the choisem, as the choisem contains the oasis. There is nothing there to feel separate from the choisem. We'll still discuss this.
No, we just said choisef in the beginning, and then we changed.
Noisef, added.
Added.
There's nothing noisef, nothing added to the. Before he says no, noisef. The point that we want to focus in is on the expression here. Hoesis hen gilui hadover. Gilui hadover v'le'etzem mehusei mamush. This is that it's Gilui hadover, which means it reveals what's contained in the chosim. From our perspective, this is important what we discussed yesterday, that even though to be megale these oisius, you take them from elsewhere. You don't take them from the chosim itself. You take the oisius, whatever oisius you want to put on them. In what way are the oisius gilui hadover? Regardless of how you attach the oisius to the chosim, whether you engrave them or you attach them on top. In what way is it gilui hadover? It's not megala the chosim. You put oisius which come from elsewhere. What is the meaning of this gilui hadover? So we explained that the whole phenomenon that you can have oisios is only because you have a chomer. If there were no chomer, there would be no oisios. The oisios are one way that you are revealing what the chomer is, what the chomer contains, what possibilities it contains. But if not for the chomer, there would be no oisios. That's mean gilui hadover.
Is there such tzuras as gilui hadover mamash, gilui mehusei achoimer mamash? Here we're talking about it's not mamash, meaning it's because it's not limited to this particular gilui of oisius. Meaning the way to appreciate what the choimer is, it's not lavdavka, it's only via oisius. You could do it otherwise. But is there such a thing that a tzura would reveal?
Well, this is what we want to try to understand. What's meant tzura atzmis.
Paltiel, that was the reason why you said that it's not from the Mahus Mamash, is because it doesn't manifest all the possibilities?
Maybe.
I see you didn't explain.
Huh?
Did you explain it yet?
No, I didn't. We're trying to focus in what's meant tzura atzmis. You don't have it in contrast to other tzuras. So tzura atzmis, first of all, tzura. Tzura is something that is megala the chomer, but not the mehusei, but it's not. Okay, thank you. Not etzem mehusei mamush. It is still something that is megala the chomer. Mikomokim, still the last line. Mikomokim, but yes, still harei ha'yizgalus hu min ho'etzem. The yizgalus is from the etzem itself. Sharei ein kan dover neisav. Since that we see that there is nothing here that's added onto the etzem. So, what is the contrast to that? Ein zeh. This is not k'mo yoises haksiva, like the written oisius. Shein gam ken gilui hadover. But the written oisius are also gilui hadover. They're also megale. What is, if you have a piece of parchment, a piece of paper, and you write, so you're megale what is possible on this paper. Shehagilui hu, where the gilui is alidei shemastir al hoetzem. The gilui comes through by the effect of the fact that it conceals, it hides the etzem. V'im keinen thus, ein hagilu min ho'etzem. Therefore, the gilui is not from the etzem itself. like the letters that are written with ink ala klav on the parchment. Shehadyoy mastir ala klav, where the ink hides the klav. Validei zehu hagilui. And therefore, through this comes the gilui. I'm going to skip the parentheses because I want to get the next line and then we'll come back. V'im kein, and therefore, hagilui eina mino etzem mamash. Therefore, the gilui is not from the etzem mamash. Why? Miyachar sheyesh dovar hamastir. Since that there is something that hides and conceals the etzem. All right. So now we have two illustrations of the different Gilui Hadover. We have a Gilui Hadover when you have oisias that are engraved on the stem, engraved on the stem, and then there is oisias that are written on top. In both instances, the oisias, the stamp itself is neutral, and it doesn't have naturally oisias, but it has, as we said, the pshitus. It provides for every possibility of gilui. This is the concept. This is the concept of the chomer poshut. It provides for every possibility of gilui. The gilui is something that isolates, that limits. Says that pshitus does not come by gilui. There's no gilui of pshitus. Gilui means something that something that can be identified specifically. It's mean gilui. Another poshut cannot be identified. Like you said right before, when you said it's nella, it is unobtrusive. It's unidentifiable. Take a very simple thing. When you have a blank piece of paper, a blank piece of paper is a modified version of a chomer poshut. Why is it a modified version? It's a lower version. Because a piece of paper is a means on which to write. It's not a chomer poshut. That, like we said yesterday, a chomer poshut means something solid. It means anything. And it doesn't have any form. A piece of paper is not just playing something on it. It is something that is prepared in a certain way, suited for writing. But nevertheless, there's nothing written on it. And what does it contain? What does it imply? It contains in its provision, in its essence, every kind of writing that you can possibly imagine. And then when you write on it, you are megala what one of the forms with which you can use this piece of paper. Now, as we spoke yesterday, this is so that we don't lose the context. This seems to be a kind of of an insignificant. Of course, on piece of paper you write on it, What kind of terminology? This is megalad in the paper. You write the Mesa the Oasis, you add the other Oasis, you write on a piece of paper. It's like what's called a truism. You're not making a statement of any kind. However, we explained yesterday, there's a tremendous significance in this. The oases that are written on the paper what is the difference between, let's say, oases that are written on a piece of paper or oases that you form on the glass on steam glass? These oases are going to be there for a moment and they're going to evaporate. These oases are there to stay. And furthermore, what is the difference between that and oases that you just form in the air? Like Shabbos. Shabbos is not allowed to make lines on the steam. But oases in the air, there's a whole shaila they may be allowed to do it. It's not considered writing. Because it does not have a base, it doesn't have an essence. Now, this essence that the oases have is not just the fact that you haven't written on the paper, so you'll have it today, you'll have it tomorrow, you'll have it the next day. The money evaporate. There's a much more significant element in this. There is an expression that's called oisius markimus. But oisius markimus. Somebody reads to you something, so he said, let me see it. I want to read it myself. Oasis bring out your wisdom. How do the oasis bring out your wisdom? It's the same oasis that were read to you, and now you're going to read them inside. So, how are the oasis machkimis? Just very brief. In everything that is begilui, everything that has a form, there are two stages to that form. There is the form after you look at it, after it's there in front of you, and there is the form that you perceive as you're writing it. This perception of the form as you're writing it is much deeper, much truer than the form after it is written. Because this is where you are perceiving the essential truth of the statement that you want to make, and then you're producing it in words, which is a reduction of the oir, which is just an external production. The essential truth that you want to produce, this is what you have in your mind. Now, you have oasis, you have idea. To go and put this idea on paper, you have to have had this idea in such clarity, in such depth, that you could see it coming out on the paper. In other words, it's not just a temporary idea. The idea has a basis. This basis, this is the chomer. This is why when you see the paper, you say, oh, that's a good means to produce this idea. something that is of a fleeting value, that has a momentary value. You're not going to put it down on paper. What do you put down paper? Something that has a fundamental value, fundamental truth. The paper, this is the choimer, this has a reality in it. And the oisius that you put on the paper, this is the gilui of this reality. This is the concept of choimer v'tzura. Like we spoke yesterday. If you recall, we have a dining room and then we have a table in the dining room. This same table could be any place. But if it is any place, it's not in a place where it's suited. It does not speak for its reality. There is a functionality, there's a superficial functionality, and there is the essential truth of it, the human truth of it. The human truth of it, this is much deeper than the functionality. Yeah.
Sorry, an analogy of that, you're comparing the table in a dining room to the oisies that are worthy of being put on the paper versus oisies that you could stamp a hat about.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to be clear that the reason why you're bringing the mashal of
Huh?
the reason why you're bringing the mashal of only certain letters would you write on the paper and they would stay on the paper is to show us that in the paper itself that there's already something there, so it's going to accept some things and not accept other things.
No, not in the paper.
So it's
It to show that the paper has a more fundamental reality, that you will apply to it only that which is worthy of being put on paper. What is fundamental? This is the reality of the choimer.
This is why the letters are Megala, the choimer?
That's right. This is what it's Megala, the choimer. What's it's Megala? It's Megala that there is something real over here. The Haraya was put on the paper.
But yet they do it by covering over the accent?
Okay, that's the different kind of letter it is. And over Nesev or Aces or Aces Atzmin, the first the relationship between the Choimer and the Gili. Because otherwise, these are all truisms. It's nothing, it doesn't speak for the message that the Rebbe is trying to give you. Like we started with Choimer Poshut, with the Breishis and so forth. The Choimer is what provides for the whole idea of the Gili. And the reason, the relationship, like you say, oisi is something that you think in your mind, oisi that you speak. The Rebbe always used to say, the Rebbe always says like this, that this which the Rabbeim said is a hero for the time. This which they wrote, this is hero nitzchis. This is hero nitzchis. Because you wrote it on paper. That means that it is something which is on par with the paper itself. The paper is is there to stay. The oasis are also there to stay. That's why you put it on paper.
There is idea of Peter here in the Homer that's nullified to be expressed an idea. The material, the Homer.
I hear what you're saying, but it works the other way. Chomer is not beetle. Chomer is not nullified. The idea that you're saying it's not the beetle comes from a different angle. There is, beetle. In a mitzias, you have to be a beetle in order to relate to something. You have to be a bottle. Chomer. The beetle in the chomer comes from a different angle completely. The beetle in the chomer is that this is so true in itself that you cannot nullify it. It doesn't resist anything. You can put anything you want on it. Because no matter what you put on it, you're not nullifying it. It remains what it is. This is why you can put anything you want on it. It is beyond being nullified. So each beetle, this is the real unity. This is beyond. It's not. It doesn't have a limited mitzias, so that if you put something on it, you are affecting it. The paper remains exactly the same. Even to the extent that if you on written letters, you can scrape off the letters and the paper remains exactly the same. All right, so this will be it. So, as I said, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, and neither I'm going to be away till next week. Probably the first class will be Tuesday. I hope you guys will.